the month that changes hearts. Before the crescent moon is even sighted, there's already a shift in the air. Muslims around the world can feel it. The sacred month of Ramadan is near, and this time, it's not just another month, it's a calling. In the United States, amidst the fast-paced lives, work deadlines, traffic, and endless screens, hearts quietly begin to prepare for something deeper, something that money can't buy and technology can't replace: peace, reflection, purpose. You see, before Ramadan even begins, every believer starts a silent journey within. The grocery lists are being written, the dates, the sweet ones, are being stocked, and homes begin to smell like hope and anticipation. Families talk about Suhoor timings, mosque programs, charity drives, but deep inside, there's one quiet whisper that echoes: will I be ready this time? Because Ramadan is not just about fasting from food. It's about detoxing the soul. It's a divine reset button that purifies not just your stomach, but your heart. People start deleting distractions, cutting down on social media, cleaning their homes, but more importantly, cleaning their intentions. They start fixing broken bonds, forgiving old grudges, and making space in their hearts for mercy. The same mercy they'll be begging for in the nights of Ramadan. In cities like New York, Chicago, Houston, and Los Angeles, where life never really slows down, Muslims start carving out time for something greater. Prayer schedules go up on refrigerators, Quran apps light up on phones, and mosques begin to glow with early preparations. And it's not just Muslims who feel it, even non-Muslim friends notice the calm before this sacred storm. They see the smiles, the excitement, the spiritual energy. It's like witnessing millions preparing for a cosmic event, where heaven meets earth for 30 days. Because that's what Ramadan really is, a meeting point between you and your Creator. A month that doesn't just teach patience, but transforms your entire being. And as the moon draws near, every believer's heart beats a little faster. This time, they whisper, "Ya Allah, let me reach Ramadan." The month is not here yet, but the journey has already begun. When the sky whispers Ramadan, the night arrives quietly, almost softly. The sky darkens, families gather on balconies, rooftops, and windows. Everyone's eyes look upward, searching, waiting, hoping. And then, somewhere across the horizon, the world witnesses something small yet powerful: the crescent moon. When that thin silver curve appears, it feels like the sky itself is whispering, Ramadan has begun. And just like that, everything changes. Phones start ringing. Messages fly across WhatsApp groups. Mosques announce it. Kids cheer. Mothers smile with relief. Fathers nod silently with gratitude. Every heart, from the East Coast to the West Coast, says the same thing: Alhamdulillah, we made it. In the United States, even though Muslims come from different cultures, Arab, South Asian, African, American-born, reverts, this moment connects them all. That tiny moon becomes a symbol of unity, a reminder that faith is bigger than borders. For many, this is the moment they feel tears rising, not because they're sad, but because they lived long enough to see another Ramadan, another chance, another door of mercy opened for them. And immediately, the energy shifts. The first night of Ramadan is not a normal night. It's electric. Families begin preparing for Taraweeh. Kids rush to find prayer mats. Quran recitations echo inside homes. The streets around mosques fill up. Parking lots overflow. You see people you haven't seen since last Ramadan, and their smiles feel like a reunion of souls. Inside every masjid, there's a unique warmth. The imam's voice fills the hall. People stand shoulder to shoulder, strangers, friends, old, young, all breathing the same intention. Ya Allah, accept from us this Ramadan. Even those who struggled through the year, those who felt distant from prayer, lost in life, buried under responsibilities, find themselves pulled back by this month. Ramadan doesn't judge. It welcomes. It embraces. It says, "You're not too far to return." And as the night deepens, families return home to plan their first Suhoor. The moon shines softly outside, like a gentle reminder that mercy has arrived. The world is still busy. The noise hasn't stopped. But inside every Muslim home, there's calm, there's light, because Ramadan has begun, and with it, a new chapter. Before the world wakes up, long before dawn breaks, long before the streets fill with cars and the world begins its relentless rush, there is a sacred hour that belongs only to the believers. The time of Suhoor. The clock reads 4 a.m. in New York, 3 a.m. in Chicago, 1 a.m. in California. While the rest of America sleeps in silence, Muslim homes glow softly with kitchen lights and whispers of preparation. Mothers warm bread and boil eggs. Fathers set out dates and water. Kids rub their eyes, wrapped in blankets, trying to stay awake. This early morning meal is simple, but powerful. It's not about how much you eat. It's about why you eat. Because Suhoor is not just food. It is a sunnah, a blessing, a spiritual fuel for the day ahead. There's something magical about this time. The world outside is calm, quiet, almost frozen. But inside every home, hearts beat with purpose. Conversations are gentle, voices lower, and there is a peaceful hush, like everyone knows angels are recording every moment. Families sit together, even if just for a few minutes. In a world filled with rush and distraction, Ramadan brings them to the same table, united by faith, timing, and intention. And then the final minutes arrive. The adhan plays from apps and alarm clocks. Stop eating. Fajr is near. This is when hearts soften, when hands rise in dua, when tears fall silently, because believers know this is one of the most accepted times for supplication. You see fathers asking for rizq, for strength, for forgiveness. Mothers praying for their children's future. Young people whispering their hopes, fears, and dreams. And reverts, those who came to Islam with courage, sit alone or with their new community, praying for guidance, connection, and strength to stay steadfast. The sky outside slowly shifts from black to deep blue. The world is still asleep, but every Muslim heart is awake, alive, focused. Then comes the moment, the call to Fajr. The fast begins. Water glasses go down. Dates are finished. Smiles are exchanged. And the body transitions from hunger to worship. It's the first Suhoor of the month, and it sets the tone. A reminder that Ramadan mornings are not ordinary mornings. They're invitations, doors to mercy, moments where the dunya pauses and the soul rises. The day the heart learns hunger, the first fast of Ramadan always feels different. The moment Fajr begins, a silent promise is made, a promise between you and Allah. No witnesses, no applause, just discipline, intention, and faith. As the early sun rises over cities like Houston, Boston, Seattle, and Miami, Muslims head into the world with empty stomachs but full hearts. The offices fill, schools open, traffic moves, coffee shops buzz, and yet every fasting believer walks among them with a different rhythm. They're hungry but peaceful, thirsty but grateful, tired but spiritually awake. Because the first fast is not about proving strength. It's about discovering it. It's about realizing that true power comes from controlling yourself, your tongue, your anger, your thoughts, and your emotions. Around noon, the hunger starts whispering. By afternoon, the thirst begins to knock. And by late day, the body starts negotiating. But Ramadan teaches something profound. The stomach may be empty, but the soul becomes full. At work, co-workers ask polite questions. You can't even drink water? How do you do it? What's the purpose? And every Muslim answers with a soft smile, not with frustration, but with pride. Because this is a chance to show the beauty of the faith, the patience it builds, the clarity it brings. In universities, students fast through lectures, exams, long walks across campus. Many push through exhaustion with quiet dua in their hearts. Some break their fast alone in dorm rooms. Others join Muslim Student Association iftars, where strangers become family. In construction sites, delivery routes, hospitals, and factories across America, Muslims continue their day, reminding themselves with each hour, "This is for Allah. This is for my soul. This is for my hereafter." But the first fast always brings a hidden treasure: self-awareness. You begin to hear your thoughts more clearly. You see your habits more honestly. You recognize your weaknesses more humbly. And somewhere in the middle of the day, you realize something powerful. Hunger doesn't weaken you. It frees you. It teaches you who you truly are when no one is watching. As the sun slowly moves toward the horizon, every fasting heart feels the same truth. This day was not easy, but it was worth it. The hour when patience is tested, the afternoon of the first fast. This is where the real battle begins. Not against food, not against thirst, but against yourself. As the sun climbs high and the hours stretch long, the body begins to feel the weight of fasting. Energy dips, thoughts slow, work feels heavier, even breathing feels a little warmer. It's that moment when your mind whispers, "I can't do this," but your heart answers, "Yes, you can." Across America, Muslims face this quiet battle in different places. In offices, people lean back in their chairs, closing their eyes for a few seconds of stillness. In classrooms, students tap their feet, counting minutes until the final bell. On job sites, workers pause, not for food, but for strength. This afternoon stretch is the time when sabr, real, raw patience, is tested. It's easy to be calm in the morning. It's easy to be gentle when you're not hungry. But the afternoon, That's where the heart learns discipline. That's where the soul learns endurance. And this is also when small irritations hit the hardest. A rude comment, a stressful email, a mistake at work, a disagreement at home. Things that wouldn't bother you on a normal day suddenly feel heavier. But that's the beauty of Ramadan. It teaches you to walk away, to forgive, to breathe, to let go. Instead of reacting, you remember, I am fasting. And those 3 words have the power to save your entire day. During these hours, many silently make dua. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly inside their hearts. Ya Allah, give me strength. Ya Allah, let me finish this day with patience. Ya Allah, accept my fast. And every time they whisper these duas, something amazing happens. Hunger becomes lighter, thirst becomes manageable, and the heart feels stronger. This afternoon challenge is not a punishment. It's a gift, a spiritual workout that strengthens parts of you the world can't. See, your character, your discipline, your self-control. By now, the sun has begun its slow descent. The hours ahead promise relief. The heart begins to sense something beautiful waiting at sunset. Mercy, peace, and the sweetness of iftar. But before that moment comes, every believer must pass through this quiet battlefield. And those who endure it rise stronger when the sky turns gold. As the sun begins its slow descent, something magical happens. The light softens, the air cools, and every fasting believer feels a quiet sense of victory rising inside. This is the hour of hope, the time when the sky turns gold and the soul prepares for relief. In homes across the United States, kitchens begin to awaken. The crackle of oil, the slicing of fruit, the clinking of glasses, it's not just sound, it's emotion. Mothers warm plates, fathers arrange dates and water. Kids peek at the clock every few seconds, counting down the final moments. Because when sunset approaches, the heart beats faster, not out of hunger, not out of thirst, but out of gratitude. For an entire day, the believer carried hunger with patience, carried thirst with dignity, carried emotions with control. And now, Allah is about to place sweetness on their tongue. In masjids from California to Florida, lines form. People gather shoulder to shoulder with plates in hand. Strangers greet each other with warmth that feels like family. The Imam's voice echoes softly. Just a few minutes left. Make dua. And what a beautiful moment it is. A hall full of people sitting silently, heads bowed, palms raised, each asking for forgiveness, blessings, healing, success, peace. This is the time when prayers fly the fastest, when hearts open the widest, when mercy pours down the strongest. Families sitting at home feel the same emotion. Some have a full table. Some have just dates and water. Some break their fast alone. Some with dozens around them. But no matter where they are or how much they have, every believer feels the same spiritual embrace. Then comes the long-awaited seconds. The clock hits the exact moment. Phones buzz with notifications. Mosques announce it. And the adhan begins. Allahu Akbar. A date touches the tongue. Water slides down the throat. And the entire day's struggle melts away, instantly replaced with peace that has no earthly explanation. This is not just eating. This is healing. This is mercy. This is reward. And as the sky darkens completely, the believer smiles with quiet pride. You made it, but the night is just beginning, because after iftar comes a spiritual journey even deeper. The journey of the night prayers, the night when hearts stand together, when the dishes from iftar are cleared and the home finally settles back into calm. A new energy rises in the air, not loud, not rushed, but peaceful, calling, inviting. It is the time for Taraweeh, the night when hearts gather to stand side by side before Allah. Across America, the quiet streets begin to glow as Muslims drive toward their nearest masjid. Parking lots overflow, children hold their parents' hands, and the crisp night air carries a unique stillness. A stillness found only in Ramadan. Inside the mosque, the atmosphere is indescribable. The carpets feel softer, the lights feel warmer, the hearts feel lighter. Men line up in long rows, women fill the upstairs halls. Teenagers come with their friends, elders sit in chairs at the back. And the moment the Imam says Allahu Akbar, a wave of tranquility settles over the entire room. This prayer is long, but it never feels long, because Taraweeh is not just standing. It is surrender, it is listening, it is absorbing the words of Allah as if they are touching your soul directly. When the Imam begins reciting Quran, the whole becomes completely silent. Some listen with closed eyes. Some let tears fall quietly. Some don't understand every word, yet they feel every emotion. Peace, mercy, hope, forgiveness. In this moment, every believer feels the same, equal, humble, connected. Taraweeh unites people who don't know each other's names but share the same faith, the same struggle, the same destination. Mothers rock their babies gently. Children try to stand like grown-ups. Young adults who drifted away from religion find themselves pulled back by these nights. Reverts stand in awe, experiencing a spiritual rhythm they never knew existed. And the beauty is, no one is rushing, no one is complaining, no one is checking the time. Because these nights are rare, only 29 or 30 opportunities in the entire year. Each night carries a different mercy, a different blessing, a different chance to heal. When the final taslim is given, people leave with calmer minds, softer hearts, and lighter souls. The world outside is the same, but the believer walking out is not. Taraweeh doesn't just end a night. It transforms it, and it prepares every heart for another day of fasting, another day of growth. Nights that echo with revelation. When Taraweeh ends and people step out into the cool Ramadan night, the world feels different, quieter, softer, almost sacred. But the night isn't over, not even close, because Ramadan nights are built on something deeper, something timeless, the Quran. In homes across America, lamps turn on beside beds. Quran apps open on glowing screens, and pages begin to turn gently. For many Muslims, these nights become a private meeting with Allah, a moment where the soul finally speaks without interruption. Some read slowly, word by word. Some recite aloud with trembling voices. Some listen to recitations that melt away stress and soften the hardest of days. And the amazing part? Everyone feels something different. For one heart, a verse feels like a reminder. For another, a verse feels like healing. For someone else, it feels like Allah is speaking directly to them. Because the Quran doesn't touch the ears, it touches the soul. In shared apartments, college dorms, and quiet suburban homes, Muslims sit with the book that changed the world. For some, this month is the only time they reconnect with it. But Ramadan welcomes them without judgment, whispering softly, "Start again. I'm here." Many set goals, finishing the Quran once, twice, or even more. Some struggle, reading a few pages a night. Others dive in deeply, losing track of time as the verses pull them closer. Reverts often experience something extraordinary. They read a verse, stop, reread it slowly, and feel something awaken inside. A clarity, a peace, a realization that faith is not just about rituals, it's about understanding. Meanwhile, elders sit with large printed mushafs, reading with steady patience. Parents read beside their children, teaching them pronunciation, telling them stories behind the verses. Teenagers listen with earbuds, escaping the chaos of life through divine words. And in these nights, the Quran becomes more than a book. It becomes a companion, a guide, a light that stays with you long after the page is closed. Hours pass. Midnight slips into dawn. Some fall asleep with the Quran open beside them. Others close it gently, whispering, "Alhamdulillah," because Ramadan nights are not ordinary nights. They are nights where revelation lives again, where hearts soften, where faith grows, and tomorrow the cycle continues, the dawn that renews the soul. Before the world awakens, before alarms ring across America, and before the rush of responsibility begins, there is a moment that carries the weight of serenity and the promise of renewal. The Fajr prayer. In Ramadan, Fajr feels different. It feels lighter, yet deeper. Sleepy eyes open, bodies move slowly, but hearts move with purpose. Because the believer knows, Fajr is not just a prayer of obligation. It's a prayer of transformation. The sky outside is still dark. Streetlights glow faintly. Inside homes, a soft hush fills the air as Muslims rise from their beds, wash their faces with cold water, and wrap themselves in the stillness of dawn. The world is quiet, but the soul is awake. When the adhan echoes, whether from a nearby masjid or a phone app, it doesn't just call the ears, it calls the heart. Allahu Akbar. In that moment, the believer feels chosen, honored, blessed to stand before Allah while most of the world sleeps unaware of the peace they're missing. Families pray together in living rooms. Students living alone whisper their du'as in tiny apartments. Elders sit on prayer mats with hands raised high, and every heart asks for the same thing. Ya Allah, accept this day of fasting. What makes Fajr in Ramadan powerful isn't the quietness of the hour, it's the softness of the heart. A heart that has been fasting, praying, reflecting, repenting. A heart closer to Allah than any other time of the year. After prayer, many sit for a few minutes, doing dhikr, reading Quran, or simply staring at the window as the sky begins turning from black to deep blue. The sunrise during Ramadan feels like a promise, a fresh start, a new chapter, a moment where everything feels possible again. For those heading to work, school, or long commutes, this prayer becomes their armor, their strength, their spiritual energy for the entire day. And for some, the feeling of Fajr lasts long after the prayer ends. It stays in their smile, in their patience, in the way they speak, in the way they treat others. Because Fajr is not just a moment, it's a shift from darkness to light, from distraction to intention, from routine to devotion. With Fajr, the believer begins Ramadan all over again, renewed, focused, and ready for another day of fasting. The day you start becoming someone new. Every day of Ramadan has a rhythm, a quiet transformation, happening beneath the surface, inside the heart, shaping who you are becoming. But there comes a moment, usually around the 10th day, when the believer realizes something powerful. Ramadan isn't just something you're experiencing. It's something that is changing you. Across America, life looks normal from the outside. Cars rushing down highways, offices filled with deadlines, students buried in schoolwork, grocery stores buzzing. But inside the fasting believer, something deeper is happening. Your reactions become calmer. Your speech becomes softer. Your thoughts become clearer. Your soul becomes lighter. You begin to notice things you didn't see before. That argument you avoided in the afternoon, that was growth. That harsh comment you let go with a smile, that was patience. That moment you forgave someone who didn't even know they hurt you, that was strength. And every time you choose kindness over anger, forgiveness over pride, silence over negativity, you feel a shift inside, a shift that whispers, "This is who you're meant to be." Ramadan brings out the best version of the believer. It teaches self-control, discipline, compassion, and mercy. It makes you more aware of your blessings and more sensitive to the struggles of others. In workplaces across the USA, Muslims who used to rush through the day now move with purpose. In classrooms, students who often felt overwhelmed begin carrying a quiet confidence. In homes, families speak more gently, eat more gratefully, and pray more sincerely. Even the heart feels different. Sins feel heavier. Good deeds feel lighter, and dua feels more natural. Like you're not just speaking into the air, but speaking to someone listening, caring, responding. This is the transformation that Ramadan was designed for. Not just hunger, not just thirst, but a spiritual cleansing, a reprogramming of the heart. And perhaps the most beautiful part, you realize how powerful you actually are. You can stay patient. You can control your desires. You can walk away from negativity. You can be better, stronger, purer. Ramadan shows you that the version of yourself you always hoped to be was inside you all along. With each passing day, you're not just fasting. You're rebuilding your soul, rewriting your habits, and rediscovering your purpose. The awakening in the middle of the month. By the time the middle of Ramadan approaches, something shifts inside the believer. Not suddenly, but quietly, like a soft realization rising from the depths of the heart. It's the moment where you stop counting the days and start feeling them. Across the US, Muslims begin to notice that Ramadan is moving quickly. 15 days gone, 15 days left. Half the blessings taken, half the blessings remaining. This realization brings a new kind of urgency, not panic, not stress, but a beautiful spiritual awakening. You begin to ask yourself, have I done enough? Have my fasts been sincere? Have my prayers touched my heart? What changes will stay with me after Ramadan? It's in these middle days that the believer becomes more reflective, more aware, more connected. The early days were about adjusting, but these days are about improving. You start waking up for Suhoor more willingly. You pray Fajr with more concentration. You guard your tongue more carefully. You protect your time more wisely. And the Quran? It begins to settle deeper into your life. Every verse feels more relevant. Every recitation feels more meaningful. Every story feels like it's speaking directly to you. In masjids across America, Taraweeh begins to feel heavier, not physically, but emotionally. People join earlier, sit longer, listen more deeply. The Imam's voice echoes with verses about mercy, forgiveness, paradise, patience, and the heart trembles. But the middle of Ramadan also brings something else, a renewed sense of purpose. You see reverts standing stronger than ever. You see young people attending prayers they used to skip. You see elders wiping tears during long du'as. You see families uniting in a way they haven't all year. And inside every believer, there is a quiet resolution forming. The first half was preparation. Now it's time to elevate. These middle days are powerful because they wake you up to what truly matters. You begin to understand that Ramadan is not just a month. It's a mirror, a journey inward, a reminder of who you are and who you want to become. As the second half begins, the heart whispers, "You've come far, but the best nights are still ahead." The spirit begins to rise again. As the middle days of Ramadan pass, a new energy begins to build, slow at first, then stronger, like a tide returning to shore. These are the days when the believer feels a shift in the heart, a sense that something great is approaching. The countdown to the last 10 nights, the holiest moments of the entire year. Across America, Muslims begin preparing in ways big and small. More Quran, more dua, more reflection, more control over the heart, tongue, and habits. Everyone feels it. The gentle anticipation, the quiet excitement, the spiritual seriousness. It's not like the beginning of Ramadan, where everything feels fresh and new. And it's not like the end, where urgency takes over. This moment, right here, is a bridge between effort and elevation. People start planning their nights. I'm going to finish another juz. I want to pray extra rakahs tonight. I need to make a list of du'as for Laylatul Qadr. Even the busiest Muslims try to carve out time. Parents who barely get a moment to themselves start waking up earlier. Students reshuffle assignments. Workers cut down on unnecessary screen time. Reverts ask questions, eager to do everything right. And subhanallah, the heart begins to soften even more deeply. You feel joy where you used to feel stress. You feel calm where you used to feel pressure. You feel gratitude where you used to feel complaints. This is the hidden beauty of the 12th day onwards. Ramadan starts purifying you without you realizing it. A believer in New York may be stuck in traffic, but their tongue whispers dhikr. A Muslim nurse in Texas may be working a long night shift, but her heart keeps thinking of Allah. A college student in Chicago may be exhausted after classes, but he still opens the Quran before sleeping. These small actions, these small shifts, are signs that Allah is preparing the heart for the greatest nights ahead. Ramadan, at this stage, becomes less about the body and more about the soul. Less about discipline and more about devotion. Less about routine and more about connection. The believer begins to realize the finish line is near, the treasures are approaching, and the heart must be ready, because the last 10 nights, with all their power, mercy, and forgiveness, are almost here. The night before the transformation. There's something different about the nights that come right before Ramadan. It feels like the world is holding its breath, waiting, watching, preparing for a change that isn't loud but powerful, almost electric. And for Muslims across the USA, where life moves fast and days blend into each other, this night becomes a moment of stillness, a moment to reset. As the final hours approach, the air inside every home shifts. A mother quietly reorganizes the kitchen, stacking dates in a glass jar, arranging grains, checking spices. A father looks over the calendar one last time, planning how he'll manage work, commute, and worship. Children peek at the crescent moon chart online, pretending it's a treasure hunt. Even teenagers, who sometimes pretend not to care, feel that strange warmth in their chest because Ramadan is not just a month they observe. It's a month that changes them. This night is emotional, not overwhelming, not dramatic, just real. Because every heart knows, tomorrow I begin again. Many Muslims around the US step outside for a moment during this night. The sky looks the same as every other night, but somehow more meaningful. The streetlights glow on quiet sidewalks, and the cool air feels purifying. People look up, thinking about the year they've lived, its mistakes, its victories, its pain, its joy. And deep inside, a calm voice whispers, "This Ramadan, I'll be better." In apartments, families gather to make small dua-soft, private prayers. They ask for guidance, for ease, for forgiveness. They ask for the strength to fast with sincerity and worship with a clean heart. Even those who struggled last year, even those who feel far from Allah, find themselves returning tonight. Because Ramadan doesn't ask how perfect you are. Ramadan simply says, "Come as you are, and I will help you heal." There's also anticipation, beautiful, spiritual anticipation. Calendars are marked, grocery bags are filled, prayer mats are freshly washed, alarms are set for the first suhoor. And while everyone prepares physically, the real preparation is happening inside their chest. It's the night before the transformation, a night of quiet emotions, a night where faith breathes again, a night that tells every heart in America, Chicago, Houston, New York, LA, every corner. Ramadan is almost here, and your journey is about to begin. The first suhoor, awakening the heart. Before the sun even thinks about rising, the home begins to stir. It's quiet, almost too quiet, except for the soft sound of alarms buzzing in different corners. This is the first suhoor of Ramadan, a moment that feels both unreal and deeply comforting. In the USA, where mornings are usually rushed and stressful, this one is strangely peaceful. The world outside is asleep, but inside, something sacred is happening. A mother gently wakes her children. A father turns on the kitchen light, still half asleep but smiling. Teens drag themselves out of bed, pretending they're annoyed but secretly excited. and in small dorm rooms and shared apartments across the country. Muslim students boil eggs, toast bread, warm leftover rice, whatever they have. Because Suhoor isn't about luxury, it's about intention. This first Suhoor sets the tone. Families sit together, eating slowly, talking softly. Even those who usually skip breakfast suddenly feel the beauty of this moment. There's no rush to get to work, no buzzing phones, no chaos, just the sound of spoons, whispers, and hearts waking up. Some play a recitation softly in the background. Others keep the room silent, letting the calmness speak. A few smile at each other, realizing how blessed this moment is. Because Suhoor isn't just food, it's an act of worship. It's love, it's discipline. It's the first reminder that Ramadan is here to strengthen them in ways they don't even understand yet. And then comes that emotional moment when someone checks the time, watches the clock tick closer to Fajr, and everyone takes those final sips of water. That last sip, it hits differently. It feels like sealing a promise with Allah, a reminder that the day ahead won't be easy, but it will be worth every second. Outside, the streets are silent. No cars, no noise, no rush, just the faint glow of streetlights. Somewhere in the distance, the first light of dawn is preparing to rise. And inside every Muslim home, hearts are doing the same. People pray to rakahs before Fajr, whispering their hopes. Ya Allah, make this Ramadan my turning point. Make this month a cure for my heart. Make this day a step toward you. As the call to prayer time arrives, Suhoor comes to an end. But something else begins, a day of patience, a day of worship, a day of purpose. This first Suhoor awakens the heart and sets the soul on its journey. The first fast, strength beyond hunger. The first day of fasting always hits differently, not because of the hunger or the thirst, but because of that powerful moment when you realize I'm really doing this. Ramadan is no longer something you're preparing for. It has begun, and your soul feels it before your body does. As the sun rises across the USA, from the quiet suburbs of Minnesota to the buzzing streets of New York, Muslims step into their day with a renewed sense of purpose. It doesn't matter if they're heading to a corporate office, a warehouse shift, a university campus, or managing a home. What matters is that this morning comes with a silent strength flowing through their chest. The first fast always feels like a test. By mid-morning, coffee lovers feel the absence of caffeine like a shock wave. Students feel a dull ache in their stomach. Workers glance at the clock and realize it's only 10 a.m. But with every passing hour, something beautiful happens. The body weakens, but the soul gets stronger. It's not just a physical fast. It's a mental reset. Your tongue learns patience. Your mind learns focus. Your heart learns gratitude. And in workplaces across America, Muslims quietly carry that discipline. Some explain Ramadan to their curious co-workers. Some choose to stay silent, letting their actions speak. A few hear, "Wow, not even water," for the 100th time, and smile because they know this sacrifice is their pride, not a burden. Around noon, hunger is real, but so is faith. So is the awareness that Allah is watching, rewarding every small effort. Every breath becomes worship. every moment becomes meaningful. Even the struggles, the dry throat, the tired legs, the heavy eyelids become proof of devotion. And somewhere deep inside, a realization forms. I'm stronger than I thought. As the day moves toward afternoon, a soft calm takes over. The world outside is fast-paced, cars honking, people rushing, life happening. But inside the fasting person, everything slows down. Every emotion feels more honest, every thought more clear, every prayer more sincere. By late afternoon, the countdown begins. Not the desperate kind, but the hopeful kind. Because the first fast is not about starving. It's about discovering the strength Allah placed inside you long before you knew it existed. And as the sun sinks lower into the horizon, every fasting heart in America whispers the same prayer. Ya Allah, accept this from me and help me reach the next sunrise with faith, gratitude, and strength. The sunset that changes everything. As the sun begins its slow descent, something shifts inside the heart of every fasting person. This isn't just another sunset. This is the first Ramadan sunset, the one that carries the weight of an entire day's patience, discipline, hunger, thirst, and emotion. Across the USA, from busy highways to quiet neighborhoods, Muslims feel the same anticipation rising with every golden minute. Kitchens come alive. The smell of dates, samosas, fruit bowls, and warm soups fills the air. Water glasses are placed carefully on tables, breaking the light like tiny crystals. Families gather, roommates gather. Even people who live alone sit beside their plates with a soft smile because they know this moment is not about company. It's about connection with Allah. Outside, the sky turns into a painting, streaks of orange, pink, and gold blending together as if they, too, are celebrating the blessed moment. In mosques across America, people take their seats with dates in hand. In apartments and homes, everyone watches the clock, waiting for that exact second when the fast is no longer a test but a victory. And then it happens. A single minute arrives, quiet, powerful, sacred. Iftar time. The first sip of water feels like mercy. The first bite of a date feels like gratitude. The first deep breath feels like relief melting into the soul. This moment hits differently because the entire day's struggle transforms into reward. Everything, every dry throat, every tired step, every craving resisted turns into something beautiful. And deep inside, every heart whispers the words that bring tears to the eyes of even the strongest believer. Ya Allah, I fasted for you, and with your mercy, I now break it. People eat slowly, not out of control, not rushing, but with appreciation. Mothers glance at their children to see if they're okay. Fathers smile softly, proud of the family's strength. Teens laugh a little louder now that energy has returned. Students alone in their dorm rooms feel a strange warmth in their chests because even in silence, iftar never feels lonely. A sense of peace settles over the room. A sense of gratitude fills every breath. A sense of accomplishment glows in every heart. And as the plates clear and the call to Maghrib echoes from phones, apps, and nearby mosques, one truth becomes clear. This sunset didn't just end a fast. It transformed a heart. It reminded the soul why Ramadan is the greatest blessing of all. The Taraweeh night, when hearts stand together. The first Taraweeh night carries a kind of magic that words can barely touch. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, yet it moves millions of hearts across the USA at the exact same time. After the energy of Iftar settles and the calm of Maghrib fades, people prepare for a journey that begins not on the road, but on the prayer mat. Mosques glow like lanterns in the night. Parking lots overflow. Families walk together under the cool. Evening sky kids holding their parents' hands. Teenagers walking with sleepy excitement. Elders moving slowly but with determination. Inside, the mosque fills with a powerful silence. Rows form, shoulders touch, souls align. You can feel it the moment you step in. This is not just prayer. This is unity. The Imam begins reciting, and his voice flows like a river, steady, deep, soothing. The Quran fills the room, wrapping around every believer like a blanket of light. Some people close their eyes for a second just to feel it. Others fight back tears because certain verses hit wounds they thought had healed. Taraweeh does that. It unlocks emotions you didn't know were waiting. In those long-standing moments, something beautiful happens. The pain of the past year softens. The guilt of mistakes begins to fade. The heart remembers its purpose. People from every background, Arab, African, Desi, European, Latino, Black, white, stand shoulder to shoulder, breathing the same rhythm of worship. No one is higher, no one is lower. In this moment, every soul is equal before the Creator. Kids fall asleep against their mothers. Teenagers try not to yawn, but stay proudly in line. Fathers stay strong even when their legs shake. Mothers whisper silent duas between the verses. Everyone is fighting the same battle, the battle to become better. And when the Imam says the final salam, people remain still for a moment. Nobody wants to rush out. The peace is too deep. The heart is too warm. This is the kind of night you wish you could hold on to forever. Outside, the cool breeze feels different, as if the entire world has been washed clean. Streetlights glow softly and people smile without saying a word. Because Taraweeh isn't just prayer, it's healing. It's the night when the Quran walks straight into the heart. The night when believers stand together and rise together. The night that reminds every soul in America, Ramadan isn't just happening around you. It's happening inside you. The midnight reflection, a conversation with the soul. When the world finally quiets down after Taraweeh, after the dishes are washed, after the house settles into its nighttime rhythm, a different kind of silence begins, one that doesn't come from the outside, but from deep within the heart. This is the hour many Muslims in the USA never talk about. Yet it becomes one of the most transformative moments of Ramadan. It's the midnight reflection. Lights are dim, streets outside are calm. The fast is long over. But the spiritual energy still lingers in the air like a soft perfume. Some sit on their couches with a cup of warm water. Some spread their prayer mats again. Some sit on their beds, staring at the ceiling, letting their thoughts become honest for the first time in months. Ramadan has a way of slowing life down just enough for the heart to speak. In this quiet hour, people begin to reflect, not on their schedules, not on their careers, not on their deadlines, but on their soul. What have I become this year? Where did I drift? What pain am I still carrying? What blessings did I ignore? This isn't guilt, it's clarity. Ramadan doesn't shame the believer. It wakes them up with kindness. It whispers, you can change, you can heal, you can return. A young man in his apartment in Chicago wipes tears he didn't expect. A mother in Texas feels a sudden peace after months of stress. A student in New Jersey realizes she wants to reconnect with the Quran. An elderly man in California raises his hands and whispers a dua he kept buried for years. This is the moment when hearts soften. This is the moment when intentions become pure. This is the moment when Allah feels closer than ever. Phones stay silent. Notifications don't matter. Work emails can wait. In this sacred pause, the believer talks to Allah not with fancy words, but with raw honesty. Ya Allah, I'm trying. Help me become better. Heal what I can't fix alone. Guide me to what brings me closer to you. And something incredible happens in these moments of reflection. The stress begins to lift. The wounds feel lighter. The future looks less frightening. Because midnight reflection isn't about finding answers. It's about realizing you're not alone. As the clock moves closer to 1 a.m., the believer feels renewed. Their heart feels cleaner. Their soul feels awake. Their faith feels alive again. Ramadan's nights don't just pass. They rebuild you from the inside out. A day of quiet miracles. There are days in Ramadan that feel ordinary from the outside. Yet inside, something extraordinary is happening calm, invisible, powerful. These are the days when Allah writes quiet miracles into the life of a believer. Not the dramatic kind, not the ones people talk about, but the ones that fix hearts, soften wounds, and guide souls without making a sound. From the moment the fasting person wakes up, something feels different. The hunger is there. The thirst is real. The tiredness is heavy, but the heart is strangely peaceful, as if Allah has placed a soft hand on their chest, whispering, you're not struggling alone. People go about their day driving to work, answering emails, attending classes, caring for their families, yet somewhere in the middle of that routine, small blessings begin to unfold. A problem that felt overwhelming suddenly feels manageable. A pain that felt sharp feels a little duller. A sadness that felt heavy begins to loosen its grip. A fear that haunted the mind becomes less frightening. These aren't coincidences. These are Ramadan's quiet miracles. In offices across the USA, a fasting person feels unexpected patience in a stressful meeting. In classrooms, students find clarity while studying even though their bodies are exhausted. In homes, parents feel more tenderness toward their children. In hospitals, workers pushing through long shifts feel an inner strength they can't explain. It's not the body, it's the soul being nourished. Throughout the day, believers catch themselves making small duas in their hearts. Ya Allah, make it easy. Ya Allah, guide me. Ya Allah, help me stay calm. And every time the tongue whispers his name, the world inside them shifts just a little more. Problems don't always disappear, but hearts become strong enough to face them. Worries don't always fade, but minds become clear enough to manage them. This is how Allah works in Ramadan, quietly, gently, beautifully. By late afternoon, when the hunger gets sharper and the day feels longer, a strange peace settles in again. It's as if Allah is saying, hold on, Sunset is coming. Reward is coming. Mercy is coming. And the believer holds on not because their body is strong, but because their faith is. As the sun moves lower, they realize something powerful. Ramadan is not changing their life with big signs. It's changing them with small miracles, the kind that reshape a heart forever. When Ramadan finally enters the heart, there comes a moment in Ramadan, a quiet, private moment when you realize the month has fully entered your heart. Not when the crescent was sighted, not when the first fast began, not even during Taraweeh, but now, after days of worship, reflection, patience, and mercy. This is the moment when Ramadan stops being a ritual and becomes a feeling. It doesn't happen loudly. It doesn't happen suddenly. It happens softly, almost unnoticed. Maybe it's during a dua that makes your voice shake. Maybe it's during a verse that hits deeper than ever before. Maybe it's while breaking your fast with a simple date. Realizing you don't want food, you want closeness to Allah. This is when the heart whispers, I don't want this month to end. Across the USA, believers feel this same transformation in different ways. A mother preparing iftar realizes her stress has been replaced with peace. A father who rarely cried finds tears in sujud. A teen who felt distant from faith now feels a spark inside. A busy worker who barely had time for prayer finds themselves carving out moments of worship with love, not obligation. Ramadan has done its work. Homes feel lighter, hearts feel softer, faith feels alive. This month didn't demand perfection, it inspired effort. It didn't demand grand gestures, it honored small steps. It didn't erase flaws, it taught the believer how to rise above them. And that is the real victory. As the final days approach, people begin to feel a bittersweet emotion. Gratitude for what they've gained, sadness for how fast time is moving. Hope that Allah accepts every fast, every prayer, every tear, every intention. Night after night, believers stand in prayer, not because they have to, but because their soul now craves it. They raise their hands in dua, not out of fear, but out of love. They give charity, not from wealth, but from compassion. And in these final moments of this blessed journey, one truth becomes clear. Ramadan didn't change their schedule. It changed their heart. The noise of the world fades. The worries of life shrink. The believer feels closer to Allah than they have all year. And as the month moves toward its end, one silent promise forms inside every sincere heart. When Ramadan leaves, its light will stay with me. This is the true end of the journey, not the closing of a chapter, but the opening of a new one, a life touched by mercy, shaped by patience, and guided by faith.